What's up, Lego builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios. It's the end of 2024. And if I could sum up this whole year for my channel in just 2 words, they would be clone bases. I've built bases underwater, pumping out that sweet democracy, and unfortunately sometimes getting cooked by dread tanks. One thing I have yet to do is pool all my resources together and build an absolute behemoth just like in the good old days. So today, I'm challenging myself to build the biggest clone base possible in just 72 hours and craft a classic Clone Wars tale to go along with it. If you're ready to see Master Yoda showcase some of his holiday drip, don't forget to execute order 66 on that like button, and let's get to bricking. In order to make this base bigger than any of its predecessors, I need to use 4 gray base plates for the foundation. They hang over the edge of the table by a good margin, so I need to be careful to not hit the edge and send any parts or figs flying into the shadow realm. Most of my clone and droid bases are constructed using large pillars with panels of plate and tile in between them, forming a frame with an open area inside. But I want to really challenge myself today and build something drastically different. So I'm going to make the main structure of the base be a half circle. To do that, I need walls that can curve. Not an easy task when building with a mostly rectangular and square system, but I cracked the code last year during my Coruscant series. While doing the Senate building, I came up with a technique using these rounded 1x2 plates that, when connected together, create a wall that can bend and pivot where the rounded plates meet. This allows me to make a wall curve in basically whatever shape I need, but still be one fully connected build. Not bad for a guy who still has to use his calculator for basic addition. Having curved walls means they can't connect to the studs on the base plate like a normal wall. So I built these chunks of snot brick that roughly match the same curve as the wall. They slide underneath the curved foundation, supporting it the whole way without needing any studs except for one at either end of the wall. I continued adding onto the slab of snot brick to create a patch of smooth ground around the outside of the walls that I can build on later. Let me know what you'd rate this wall technique down below in the comments. I'm gonna stop the slab of snot brick here, and it's not connected to anything, so it's currently at risk of sliding out of place and causing the walls to break and tip over. I'm gonna cover up the studs in the front and frame it in place with a couple rows of plate. Now it's securely locked into place. This is a lot of extra work for just one wall, but it's necessary in order to create a more complex build, and the end result will be worth it. Well, it better be, or I just wasted a lot of time. Now it's time to build the rest of the wall, and spacing is really important here. The wall is a series of 1x6 sections connected together with those round 1x2 plates. At each point where the plates connect goes a stack of 1x1 cylinders with the brick going in the openings between them. These stacks of cylinders allow the wall to keep its curve all the way up, and if you want to capture an even more rounded look, just make the gaps between the cylinders where the brick is smaller so there's less flat surface area. Once you get to the desired height, you've still got a wobbly wall, so repeat the steps from the beginning on top of it in the same pattern to fully connect everything together. These walls are hitting like a glass of blue milk on a hot summer's day. Now they just need some greebling. I have the perfect pieces in mind, but they happen to be hiding in a sea of unsorted gray parts, so this might take a while. Okay, gotta find those pieces. Dang, I really gotta get this sorted better. Oh, this is making me tired.
1 hour later.
Oh man, that was weird. Finally found the pieces. When it comes to sorting parts, I don't mess around. It's one of the most important things to me as a mock builder and helps me build even more efficiently. And I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, JLC 3DP, for helping me add another sorting tool to my arsenal. JLC 3DP is a 3D printing company that specializes in bringing just about any 3D printing project you can think of to life. The other day I saw another Lego YouTuber, Tiago, create a series of sorting bins to fit inside his storage drawers. I loved this idea, so I designed some of my own with the help of my brother. Not gonna lie, I was intimidated to make an order of my own considering I have zero experience with the 3D printing process. But JLC 3DP's website is very user-friendly. All you do is upload the file of what you want printed, then select how you want it built, like the material, color, and quantity. Then you'll get a quote on the spot of how much your product will cost. I'm really impressed with the quality of these drawers. They were expensive, but they're definitely going to help me be more organized, even if it's just sorting a bricklink order. If you want to print something of your own or just browse, I have a link to JLC 3DP's website pinned down below in the comments. Now it's time to keep grinding out that base. I finally got those pieces secured, and now I can build a couple exterior pipes. Pipes are the perfect greebling build for bases, and these are going to need to withstand some very cold temperatures, so I used some wheel pieces to make them look thicker and more insulated. I also want to add a bigger one to the other side. Let's be real, these pipes don't have much of a function. Like, why would a pipe this size be poking out of the wall and going underground? Builds like these, while not practical, add a sense of realism and world building, building, and I'm adding patches of white brick into the build so it looks like there's some snow weathering going on. This base is going to be a scaled up version of one I built back in August. It's a snow planet design, so I'm keeping it low to the ground to withstand the harsh winds, with few openings like doors and windows so the interior stays warm. Protruding out of either side of the main structure are going to be hallways with doors at either end that will act kind of like a pressure chamber. When clones enter and bring the cold air with them, the hallway seals off and warms up the air inside. That way when the clones go through the second door into the base, they don't bring a blast of cold air with them, because nothing kills a good vibe like a cold wind piercing through your uniform while you're practicing on your battle simulator. These hallways don't have to look a specific way, they just need to look cool, so I made sure to add lots of slopes to the front and top. That way the design looks more complex, like there's some kind of purpose and function going on here, even if I have no idea why these pieces are being used. I used to be scared of builds like this, where there wasn't a specific design that was already created and I just needed to copy it in Lego. But I realized if I just have fun and create something that I think looks cool, then that's enough. I don't need to have a real world explanation for every aspect of my build. But speaking of practicality and explanations, I do have one here. I'm adding an air intake to the front for the heating mechanisms inside the wall. It's good to have some practicality sprinkled in every so often. Now we come to one of my least favorite parts of any base build, the door. I've never been a big door enthusiast. Even growing up, I don't remember adding many doors to my builds unless it was a drawbridge and portcullis for a castle, and as cool as those are, I don't really think that's an option here. So we're going classic coconut with this one. Of course, I gotta add a big Republic logo in somewhere, or how else will the droids know where to attack? The shell of this base is done, and it's time to turn my sights to the interior. Another thing I struggle with. Honestly, I struggle with just about everything except for the exterior walls, so I guess the easy part of this challenge is officially over. Most interiors I do end up being a giant motor pool for storing and working on vehicles. It's a good excuse for me to just leave the inside mostly empty, but that's not going to work today. I'm trying to break the mold here and do something new. While building, I realized I forgot to add some doors to get into the heated hallways, so I had to do some minor reconstructive surgery. I'm sticking with the dark red theme since it's a Republic base and building a couple small doors leading out. I thought about just ignoring this since I don't know how many people would even notice these were missing in the final showcase, but I'm trying to cut corners less in life and in building to really give my best effort to whatever it is I'm doing. Focusing on the little things and giving 100% is the way to achieve long-term success in life. This is where the fun really begins. I want to do a couple smaller rooms off to the side, one of which is the whole reason this base was built. A very important mining operation has been established, and this is where the mined materials emerge ready to be packaged and shipped off-world. This is supposed to be a conveyor belt that feeds into a crate at the end. I was trying to think of new rooms I could add instead of just generic barracks or an armory, and a real industrial conveyor belt spitting out precious materials sounded really cool. On the other side of the base, I went more classic and added a gym since those clones gotta stay in shape. Sun tanning isn't really an option here, but the clones need their vitamin D, so I built a little pod that simulates being outside and gives them a little tan, which some guys really need. 'Tis the Christmas season, so I thought I'd throw in some holiday Easter eggs to lighten the mood, like a big Christmas tree chilling in the middle of the base to brighten everyone's day. It also adds a really nice splash of green to this dark gray bunker of a base. I used some grass pieces stacked together to create a pretty nice looking fir tree and stuffed the base with some vibrant presents. Master Yoda even dropped by, dripped out in a Christmas sweater to hand out some prank gifts. Hopefully no one remembers this when Order 66 rolls around. Throughout this whole challenge, there's been one thing that's been lurking in the back of my mind. How am I going to build the roof? It's hard enough trying to make something stable that doesn't sag, but to add on top of that, this one needs to be round. I tried building a series of angled panels with wedge plates, but you can see their curve is too sharp and doesn't follow the same shape of the wall. I have zero clue what to do here, and in these moments, I've found the best thing to do is just sit down and build. I don't know what I'm building or how everything will connect. All I know is the roof needs to cover the base and somewhat match the wall. So I'm plating it off and filling in the square gaps at the end with angled tile. This is one of the best types of building. Sitting down with some bins of parts and not really having any idea of what I'm doing, just slowly putting pieces together until I get the right look. It may look ugly now, but trust me, I have a lifetime of experience covering up my mistakes and messy builds, so I've got a few tricks up my sleeve. One of the aforementioned tricks will be putting a large command center on the roof covering up most of it. I have this brick-built base that will function as a control room holding various computers, holotables, and other essential base electronics. Every good clone base needs one of these, and putting this on top of the main structure with some windows will give the clones the high ground to look out and survey the bleak, empty plains of snow around them. I hope they at least get to enjoy the occasional sunset. I used some of these angled bricks to somewhat match the curve of the large quarter round brick underneath. I want to recreate the classic Republic window pattern using some clips and bar plates to create the angled window frames. To make my life easier, I'm making most of the side walls of this command center windows, that way most of the build will just be placing those window supports I just built. My motivation and energy is really starting to flag. I knew this was going to be a big build, but my plans might have been too ambitious for a 3-day project. Now I just hope I have enough energy to finish strong and not mess up these last but very important parts of the mock. Once the roof is done, I can build another smaller dish to go on top of that and house the satellites and antenna for communications and radar. Once that is up and running, I can assemble all the pieces and install the command center on the base. Thus begins the final leg of the challenge, adding the finishing touches and building the terrain out front. I'm adding a layer of tile around the command center, and you can see it's already looking much better. The tile smooths everything out, and now the roof looks more rounded and matches the walls better, as long as you don't look too closely. This base is built into the side of a mountain to better access the rare minerals inside, so surrounding the base on either side will be rock walls. You know me, I gotta squeeze rock work into just about any video I can. This will also help make the mock more complete and hide the interior of the base so you can't see it while looking at the outside. I found I really enjoy building man-made structures intertwined with natural ones. It's a fun blend of structure and scale mixed with the more free-flowing style of nature builds. All that's left is to add a couple defense turrets, and this Republic base is fully operational. Oh wait, there's no front yard. I'm very tired at this point, but I really want to finish strong because if I mess up the front and make it look bad, it's going to ruin all the hard work I put into the base. I decided to bring in an extra table since I can't have almost half the build flopping around like a pod racer with only one engine. Luckily, I don't have to do anything too complicated. Most of it's going to be a large landing pad for big ships. Around the sides of the platform will be patches of white plate and tile because, you know, snow planet. I could have just made the whole thing gray, but I felt like this would add a little extra world building and make the base feel more like it's part of a larger landscape. You know I'm not going to waste this opportunity to use my Galactic Marines again, and this time they're not going up against droids, but massive Tall's warriors and some very ferocious beasts they recently acquired. And the cherry on top, my custom Republic attack shuttle. Ordo Plutonia, a small frigid planet in the Outer Rim, so brutal it makes the slum cities and sand dunes of Tatooine look like paradise. Home to unbearably cold temperatures, primitive natives, and recently a massive Republic base. Not a Republic general's first choice for an expensive military installation, unless you're this guy. It was Chancellor Palpatine who mysteriously took an interest in the planet and discovered massive reserves of kyber crystals hidden in the rock. Now a large mining operation has tons of crystal being harvested, packed up, and shipped off to Coruscant, with the occasional surprise popping up. Personnel rotations are not frequent here, so amenities like a gym and tanning booth have been installed to keep up morale. Even Master Yoda dropped by to lighten the mood. You know things are dull if this is your entertainment, but things are suddenly heating up. A shuttle, having just arrived, was in the process of being loaded with kyber crystals when it was suddenly ambushed by the fierce Tall's natives. Luckily, Ki-Adi-Mundi and his 21st Nova Corps have been stationed at the base, and their cold weather suits are more than enough to operate in the harsh climate. There's been a strained peace between the Republic and Talls, but recent covert separatist meddling has caused the warrior-like species to get riled up, feeling like the Republic hasn't been compensating them fairly for all the mining taking place. So they've come for payment in blood or crystal. Armed with separatist weapons and creatures, they are a force to be reckoned with, and if they can gain access into the base, can really mess up Palpatine's digging operation. What a way to finish off the year, and I even got to use Galactic Marines again. I've done a lot of clone bases over the last 12 months, but this one is by far the best. It really pushed my building skills and parts collection to the limits, and that's what I wanted. I don't want to just build the same thing over and over. I like facing new challenges and leaving my comfort zone behind, because that's how we get better as mock builders. I'm really starting to feel like LEGO bases is a video niche I want to stay in for a while, and I have something absolutely massive planned for next year. That's a wrap for this video. Don't forget to drop your thoughts about my base in the comments, and until next time, happy building.